Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sleepy Jazz, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about the recent Archon quest and my predictions for what's probably going to happen in Snezhnaya, because this is probably going to be one of the most interesting nations we visit, considering we have a very weird relationship with the Fatui, and are probably going to have a very weird relationship with the Tsaritsa once we meet her. But I wanted to talk about my theories and what I think is going to happen in Snezhnaya because I am really excited. This is the 7th nation in our journey, and given that the recent Archon quest involves the Fatui themselves, I think that it can somehow relate to what's going to happen in Snezhnaya, especially with the Torre and the ending of the Not Cry Archon quest. So speaking of the ending of the last Archon quest, I do want to go over a few things with this because there are certain things that people have noticed and pointed out from the last Archon quest. So for one, the Archon quest actually ended twice. I believe the first time it ended was right after our battle with the Torre, and then second time it ended was when we were on the moon with Columbina, which I think was the actual ending of the Archon quest. And during one of the final endings of the during one of the endings of the Archon quest, there's a glitch that appears, and with the Morse code that you can faintly see on the top that says, "You did not stop me." A lot of people think this is talking about the Torre because this is the ending that happens right after the battle. And if you didn't know from the Sumeru quest, the Torre actually has multiple clones, and although he agreed with Nahida to get rid of his clones in exchange for the Gnosis, there is a likely chance he might have actually lied about this. And maybe I should have put a warning for spoilers with the new Archon quest, but why are you watching a theory about Snezhnaya if you haven't played the new Not Cry Archon quest? Get off of the video, and go play the new Archon quest if you haven't. Anyway, another thing with the Archon quest is the fact that in the during the battle with the Torre, it seems as Snezhnaya gets killed, I guess is the only word I can use for it. Although she is a robot and so is Polonia. Her and Polonia's cores were sent back to Fontaine, to the research institute that was owned by her creator. So there is a chance that some people think that she could come back, or that her core could be used in a different robot. Because I also do believe she had playable leaks, if I'm not mistaken. But also, it makes sense, even if she doesn't come back as Snezhnaya herself, her core could be used to be both her and Polonia's cores could be used in other robots that we might see eventually, as there's also a mystery character upcoming in the next updates. And although Snezhnaya's creator is no longer alive, who's to say that the people from the Research Institute wouldn't know how to rebuild her, or would not know how to make a robot very similar to Snezhnaya herself? I can't. Now, going back to the ending of the Not Cry Archon quest with the glitch that says "You did not stop me," I do believe that we will be seeing the Torre again in Snezhnaya, and I believe he will possibly be the main problem during the Snezhnaya Archon quests. And we also know that during the end of the Not Cry Archon quest, the Torre was actually going to be, I think, put on trial as seen as a traitor to the Fatui, or something along the lines of that. I can't exactly remember. However, it's very clear that the Tsaritsa is probably not going to be too happy with him stealing the moons and trying to ascend to his own form of godhood. So there is a chance he's most likely not going to be with the Fatui anymore, but you never know what could happen. Maybe the Tsaritsa decided that he is not a traitor to the Fatui. However, given these circumstances, it seems as though a lot of the Fatui are probably no longer going to really accept him as their own. Now, one thing I think the Torre is possibly going to attempt to do is, I think he might try to steal the Gnosises that the Tsaritsa is currently collecting, because they are the remains of her lover, because again, with his clone, or what we assume is his clone here, his clone from Nodcry was trying to pretty much ascend to godhood, and he was doing the same with Hat Guy, aka Scaramouche, and Sumeru. So who's to say he's not going to do a third attempt, taking the Gnosises and trying to use the power of those. Even though they aren't the complete Archon's power, they do, of course, still hold somewhat of power from the Archons. And even if he doesn't attempt to take the current collected Gnosis of the Tsaritsa, whom there is still other ways he could go about trying to create problems in Snezhnaya. Of course, he is a evil mastermind. And of course, also, even if he is not the main problem of Snezhnaya, which I firmly believe he will be, he's probably going to eventually pop up later with causing some sort of problem, as a villain does. And another thing that confirms he's still more than likely alive is the fact that we were shown him burning the Ermin Soul, which he has yet to do, and hasn't even attempted to yet. Moving on, I want to talk about the Traveler's relationship with the Fatui, and what I think the Tsaritsa is more than likely going to think of the Traveler, considering we do have a really rocky relationship between the Fatui. Now, of course, at first the Fatui was commonly seen as our enemy, but there have been times where we have worked with them. But we also cannot forget the time we were a part of La Senora's murder, or when she was killed, pretty much. Even though we ourselves didn't technically kill her, we were still there fighting against her when the Raiden Shogun slain her. Which this is definitely probably going to be held over our heads by the Tsaritsa, and she's probably going to have very mixed feelings towards the Traveler, but she may end up needing help from the Traveler, with Dottore possibly being a problem, and of course the other Fatui Harbingers that I don't want to say not necessarily like the Traveler, but I guess have worked with the Traveler, such as Snezhnaya, which, given that she does come back at some given time, also not to mention, even though she's not really a part of the Fatui, Columbina, we also have Arlecchino and Child as well. I do feel like some of the other members are possibly going to give us a bit of a hard time, though, despite not knowing too much about them. I also do hope that when Snezhnaya does come out, we will see the warming Seelie once again, because I have missed seeing the regular warming Seelies, or just the normal Seelies in general, because I haven't seen them since Fontaine, and I think, considering I've explored a lot of most regions, I haven't been able to follow any Seelie around, which makes me really sad, because they were my favorite part of exploration, was following Seelie around, and I think the warming Seelie would make so much sense in Snezhnaya, and I really hope that in the outer parts of the Snezhnaya city, we will have the cold meter like we do in Dragonspine, because it would just make sense. I also hope that there's more mechanics from Dragonspine that are going to be in Snezhnaya, because, on top of the warming Seelie, because I think that would be super cool, because Dragonspine obviously isn't going to get an expansion or anything, but I think it'd be cool to explore an area similar to Dragonspine, and I hope that there's also mountains and, of course, everything like that in Snezhnaya. And don't get me wrong, I like Natlan's unique way of having Seelie, which were the little guy things, but I forgot what they're called. But I want my normal Seelie back. I miss them so much. I haven't seen one in ages. I like following them around. This is my favorite part of exploration, and I hope we get to see warming Seelie and more regular Seelie once we, get, what is it called? What is Mondstadt's port called? I forgot, but I do know there's more areas in Mondstadt and other places we still have yet to get. So I'm excited. I hope to see my Seelie again in Snezhnaya too, especially the warming Seelie. Now, a lot of people were hoping that the Tsaritsa would most likely absolutely hate the Traveler's guts, however, I don't see that happening. Given recent events with the Fatui, I feel like there is going to be a little bit of resentment there, but I'm not 100% sure if that would be like full hatred resentment and pretty much treating us the same as Aid did whenever we were first in Inazuma. But I mean, I'm hoping it's a little something like that. But given our circumstances with Arlecchino, and of course, don't forget Linny, Lynette, and Fremine, as they're also technically a part of the Fatui in a way. I mean, they're more of under Arlecchino, but they still have a little bit of influence with the Fatui, as well as Child. And, of course, again, even though she's not technically with the Fatui anymore, Columbina. And of course, can't forget Sandrone, and of course, Nisarita's probably, you know, heard of recent events with us, outside of us being kind of the reason why La Senora is dead. Even though I do feel like even if we weren't there, the Raiden Shogun would have slain her anyway. Now, I'm also not entirely sure of Capitano coming back. I don't think he's going to. But I also hope that no other Fatui Harbingers die, because that would really upset me, considering I do want the other three to be playable, on top of Sandrone as well. So I'm hoping no new Fatui Harbinger deaths will happen, but that's not guaranteed. But I can hope. I also think that in the end of the Archon Quest, or during the Archon Quest, of course, I think the Tsaritsa might reveal a lot about Celestia, and a lot about just the past of Teyvat and stuff, and the heavenly principles and everything, and we might get more answers with that, especially considering Columbina actually gave us lots of answers with our twin, with the Abyss twin. I think that Snezhnaya with the Tsaritsa, she'll reveal a lot about Celestia, the heavenly principles and stuff like that, and considering she also is the one that has a major history with them. I mean, all the Archons do, but it's most specifically her that I'm actually very curious about, because I feel like she's going to tell us a lot about them. I also feel like the Tsaritsa actually might have a little bit of information about Paimon and what Paimon exactly is. Because again, Paimon's actually one of our biggest mysteries in Genshin Impact right now. Because once again, we don't know a lot about her. We just fished some weird looking fairy out of the water with very weird clothes that also happen to look like and seem to relate a lot to Celestia. I also think we could possibly learn a bit more about Conria as well when we are in Snezhnaya, as Conria does kind of relate to the heavenly principles in Celestia in a way. And I just feel like the Tsaritsa is going to have a lot to say about the whole thing, the cataclysm, and just all of that, the heavenly principles, and also about the unknown god we encountered as well. I feel like we're going to have some stuff revealed about her in Snezhnaya. Anyway, I think these are all of my predictions pretty much. Tell me what you guys think in the comments, what you guys think is gonna happen when we're in Snezhnaya, and if you think that the Totore we defeated was just a clone, or is he somehow gonna end up reviving himself, coming back, and saying his line something like, "I died in Nod Cry, but I also lived in Nod Cry." But anyways, guys, just tell me what your theories are for Snezhnaya in the comments section. Tell me if you guys think we're gonna see the Warming Sealy again, or if we're just gonna see the Sealy again in general. I would love to see Sealy in general. I haven't seen them in so long. I, can never find them in any nation. Even though I still have exploration in some nations, I just can't find as many Sealy like I used to. I hope there's more. But I hope the Warming Sealy would be in Snezhnaya, and I do hope we get the cold bar thing that we do in Dragonspine. That would also be cool. However, I do know that, of course, in the city of Snezhnaya, I think there's some sort of, heating system they have, which keeps it from being, extremely cold in the city, but hopefully outside the city, you know, we have Warming Sealy and all that stuff. But anyway, that's it for now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.